to be covering a lot of different business models for the remainder of this semester. The business models, before we dive into that, I really want to convey multiple components in this first week as you go through. I want to do a simple review of some basic definitions as you go through. And then I want to dive into two types of canvases this week. One's called the opportunity canvas, and we're going to follow that up with a business canvas. They have very different functions, but I want you to get comfortable with them because the aspect of creating an idea, something brand new, and the opportunity canvas is there. And then we use the business canvas for an existing business as you go through. Get the book as you go through. I do have to tell you, it is the strangest book that I've ever seen that we use in academia. It looks a little bit like a comic book as you go through the pictures in it, but it's got a ton of detail in it that you wouldn't sit down and you'd be bored to death in a textbook. It's well written, brilliantly done as you go through, and it's supported by good research in the process. You'll even see components of it listed on the Small Business Administration when it comes to the opportunity canvas out there. It is that good as you go through. So get the book. This book, in my opinion, is a keeper because you may be in business doing this type of business model, and you look back over here, you're doing a multi-sided business model over here, and you want to sit down and do long tail, or you want to sit down and do a freemium aspect of it as you go through, and we'll talk about those terms later on. But for right now, we're going to cover a couple things. The world changed this last month. Opportunity has been removed, and some new ones that were insignificant before became major market segments. You'll hear this, we talk about long tail. Long tail was actually really first defined in 2004, and it was just a casual concept as you go through, and now it's very common. The freemium was a casual concept. The idea of people giving away stuff for free back before 2000 was almost unheard of, but now it's a very common thing. The vast number of apps, they all have some type of freemium component as you go through. Doors open, doors closed as you go through. The best-selling item in 10 years hasn't been invented yet as you go through, and you can be the inventor of that item. You can change the world. We're going to talk about blue ocean strategy, or another framework for that is 0 to 1. We're going to talk about models that you can adapt for your particular product, your particular service out there, or maybe something you haven't come up with yet. But keep this one in mind. The number one item in 10 years simply is not on the market today as you go through. It's something new, something exciting in the process, and you can actually be the founder of that. First of all, a startup. It's an organization formed to search for a repeatable and scalable business model. You can solve this problem over here and then sit down there and repeat it again and again to solve it the same way or a similar way as you go through. By scalable, it means you can sit down and start up with it and actually bring it up to speed with your current size and then build it up as you go through. A business model, it describes how a company creates, delivers, and captures value as you go through. Tesla, okay, the electric car was invented. And by the way, there were electric cars before that, but they're nothing but hobbyists and basically cute little things driving the road put out by Ford and GM. And they only had several hundreds of them driving as you go through. Tesla really was a brand new venture into something totally new. It was what we call a blue ocean strategy or 0 to 1 strategy as you go through. That they created something, they delivered something. And by the way, if you read the story of Elon Musk, the man was tipping nonstop on that bankruptcy scale many, many, many times as you go through. Short sellers were stalking his company as you go through saying, it's going to fold any day now. And he kept on going. So he delivered and eventually captured the value. And not only did he capture value, he captured value massively as you go through to become one of the richest companies on planet Earth as you go through. Sometimes great riches can sit down there. If you sit down there and create something that's unique in the marketplace, deliver it and capture the value that people are looking for. That's what a business model is. Another thing is called opportunistic adaptation. When there's an opportunity out there, you adapt yourself over here, boom. Sometimes a business evolves slowly as you go through. You may start in this market over here, and you find yourself drifting over here. You might even change the name of your company as you go through. It's going to depend on your ability to grow and pay attention to larger opportunities. So opportunistic evaluation as you go through. And then the founders, They sit down, they'll have a vision of a product, and they want to sit down and how do you bring value to your customers? How do you sit down and develop partners that you can be with for a long time that help them, that you can improve upon and they can improve you as you go through? How do you distribute? What channels do you go through and what kind of demand? Scalability, it describes the ability to cope and perform under increased and expanding workload. You start small, you build up and you build up, and you become more scalable as the opportunity grows as you go through. Here's initially the definitions I want you to know. Business model, know the definition of what that is. Opportunistic adaptation as you go through. We'll get different examples of that as we go through. What a startup is, and then scalability, because we'll be using these terms the rest of the semester. Take care.